Hello everyone, I am Niharika John Mehra, your educator at Unacademy. Currently, we are doing the course Changing Active into Passive Voice, and in today's lesson, we will learn about Past Perfect Tense. So, what all are the formats of sentences in active and passive voice? Along with examples, we will learn today. Coming on to a little bit about me, I am a mass communication graduate and currently doing post graduation in MA English Literature. I am an English trainer at Unacademy and also a freelance personality development trainer. For all my lessons and courses, you can follow me right here on this link. You can also go ahead and click on the follow button which is below this video, and you will be able to access all the lessons and courses made by me till now on Unacademy. Coming on to the first kind of sentence, which is affirmative sentence. General statements or a positive statement sort of sentences come under they come under affirmative sentence. In active voice, if we are making sentence in past perfect tense, it will start with subject, the one who is doing the work or the action, then had, then a verb third form, and then object. Now, according to me, this format in active and passive is the most simple format of all the tenses, because had is used irrespective of the fact whether the subject is singular or plural, and then it has direct use of verb 3. We again use third form past participle form of verb in passive as well. So there are not much changes when we change our sentence in past perfect tense from active to passive. So after verb third form, we use object. For example, Dave had kicked the ball. They had eaten apples. So the one who is doing the work comes in starting. Had comes whether it's singular or plural. Then comes verb third form, and then the object on which work is done. Then in passive voice, you find that object of active comes in first place. It comes in the starting, then had been. So the only difference here is been in the combination of verb. Here the combination of verb was had plus verb 3 in active voice. Here the combination of verb is had been plus verb third form. And then at last we have the name of the doer. For example, the ball had been kicked by Dave. Apples had been eaten by them. So had is used again whether it's singular or plural in the object, then been, then verb third form, and at last the name of the doer. Coming on to negative sentence, sentences which tells about negation, tells about denial of something, they are negative sentence. In active voice of past perfect tense, sentence will start with subject, then had plus not. Not will tell about negativity over here. Then verb third form, past participle form, and then object. For example, Dave had not kicked the ball. They had not eaten apples. So both Dave and they are the doer over here, then had, then not, then verb third form, and then on which the action is done. In passive voice, sentence will start object. It is the same thing on which work is done, then had not plus been plus verb third form, and then by doer. So whether it is present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect, been is going to be there in passive voice. So you can make a note of this, and it will be helpful in diagnosing the sentences when we have exercises to do. Coming on back to the examples over here, the ball had not been kicked by Dave. Apples had not been eaten by them. So only difference is of been, it is followed by verb third form and then by doer's name. Next we see is interrogative sentences. Again, there are two kind of interrogative sentence. One with answer yes or no, another with detailed answer. So first we are seeing such sentence which have just yes or no as answer. In active, it will start with had followed by subject who is doing the work, then verb third form, and then object. For example, had Dave kicked the ball? Had they eaten apples? So in both the case, had is coming in the starting, then the one who is doing the work, respective verb, and then on which the work is done. In passive, again, starting will be with had, but object will come after it, the thing on which work is done, then been, then verb third form, and then doer's name. For example, had ball been kicked by Dave? Had apples been eaten by them? So what is telling us about perfect tense is had. The word had having verb 3 in combination. Only difference is the been word in the combination of a verb or set of verbs used over here. Then we see another category of interrogative sentence which starts with WH. WH, it is question words like what, where, when, why, how. So apart from who, the other WH words are used and included over here. In active voice, it will start with WH word, whatever question you want to ask, then had, then subject, then verb third form, and then object. For example, why had Dave kicked the ball? Here, why is telling us that we want to ask the reason. Then another example, when had they eaten apples? So when here is telling about time, that we want to ask the time or in at what date or what was the situation at that time. We are asking about this. It will start with when, then had they eaten apples. In passive voice, it will start, the sentence will be in the same WH word. WH word will never change. Then had, then object, then been, then verb third form, and then by doer. For example, why had ball been kicked by Dave? So why over here remains as it is. Had remains as it is. The thing on which work is done is ball, which is written after had, then been. Kicked, third form of verb, remain as it is, and then by whom? By Dave. Another example, when had apples been eaten by them? So here we see that when word remains same, had remains same, then we write the thing on which work was done, which is apples, then been, then eaten, and then by them. So in this manner, interrogative sentences are changed from active to passive. At last, we have sentence with no doer, which means we are asking question to know the name of the doer. We want to know who did it, who did that action. In active voice for past perfect tense, sentence will start with who followed by had, verb third form, and then object. For example, who had kicked the ball? Another example, who had eaten 5 apples? So in this manner we will make sentence for active voice. In passive voice, we will start with by whom, then had, then object means on which work is done, then been, and then verb third form. For example, by whom had the ball been kicked? By whom had apples been eaten? So the combination of verb has only difference of been, otherwise it is having had and verb 3, had and verb 3. Just the object over here in active voice, which is at last, comes between had and been and takes place over here. That was it for today's lesson. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more such lessons and do not forget to share, rate, review, and recommend.